So while the holidays are considered the most wonderful time of the year, we know that they can also be lonely and depressing for so many people. There's seasonal depression. So to help us find that happiness during this time of year is happiness coach and international author Dannie De Novo. Thank you for being here. The holiday week, and you're here to be on our show. We're very thankful that you're here, but you're a happiness coach. Tell us what that means.
Well, honestly, it wasn't that long ago that I was the expert in unhappiness. And then one day I was making dinner and I was stirring a pot on the stove, and my baby, she's like a year old, was on the floor. And she had her play bowls and spoons. And she looked up at me with her big brown eyes, and she picked up that bowl and spoon and she started mimicking my stirring. At first I thought it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And I said, yeah, just like mommy. Yeah. But then I almost fainted on top of her because I realized I was teaching her how to live a very depressed and lonely life. So I sat down on that floor with her and I promised her I was gonna learn everything there was to know about being happy for her sake. I didn't think I could be happy, but I wanted her to learn at an early age. And what I came to find is I could be happy, but it's not always as easy as you think it is.
Right, a lot of people struggle with it. You were telling me earlier there's 5 places that your happiness is hiding, which is how you worded it. What does that mean and what are they?
Well, one place it's hiding is on the other side of your laziness, right? So happiness is kind of like going to the gym. You want muscles, you get up every morning, you go to the gym, you work out, you have to do it consistently. And then even when you have the muscle, you have to maintain it. Your happiness is the same way. You've got to make time for it every single day. You can't let that alarm clock, hit that snooze button, keep you in bed. You've got to get up and make it your first priority every single day. Another place that's hiding from you is on the other side of your negative outlook. So my daughter, who's now 7, woke up the other morning and said, oh, it's going to be a terrible day today. And I said, yeah, baby, if you start out the day saying that, it's going to be a terrible day. Because when you train your brain to look for bad, guess what it does? It spends all day looking for bad stuff and it finds it, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to change your attitude and start the day with, I'm going to look for the positive, and then you'll find it.
Yeah. It's like when you say something about a yellow car and then you always see this yellow car around.
It's the same thing.
Because it's in your mind already.
Right, your brain looks for the familiar, and if you're training it to look for bad, bad becomes familiar, and that's what it keeps seeing.
Right.
Another place that hides from you is on the other side of your past pain. So we carry this around with us a lot of time. This is a great time of year for forgiveness. Not the easiest thing to do. Forgiving others, forgiving the situation, and forgiving ourselves. A really hard thing to do sometimes.
Yeah. It's a new year.
Right.
So fresh start.
Fresh start, right. Your happiness doesn't live in the past. It's in the here and now. And then another place is on the other side of your fear, because if you want to be happy, you have to be brave, right? I have the secret to happiness. There's 2 things you can do. You have to be brave enough to be honest with yourself about what really makes you happy, and that means really looking inside and listening to your heart. And then once you find that answer, you have to act in conformity with that voice. Doesn't matter who else has anything to say about it, not your parents, not your kids, not your spouse, right? So that takes a lot of bravery to be able to do that. But on the other side of the fear is where all the magic lies.
And I think sometimes, especially for parents, it's hard to pinpoint what makes you happy. Truly you happy, not what other people want to make you happy, and things like that.
You've got all these voices in your head, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another thing. On the other side of your self-judgment is where your happiness is hiding, right? We tell ourselves now, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, it's too late, I'm too old. But really, are you lying to yourself? Because this is just what you've come to believe about yourself. And yeah, you've really got to go internally and listen to that quiet voice. You've got to retrain your brain to get rid of all those other voices and focus in right here. When you can listen to that voice and then act in conformity with it is when you'll be the happiest.
And I think that's interesting because you talk about your daughter and how you wanted to be happy for her, but in order to do that for her, you had to kind of come back to yourself.
I was modeling how to be unhappy, and I had to model how to be happy, right? And I was just learning for the sake of learning to teach her. But when I implemented it, my life changed immediately to the point where other people were coming to me and saying, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And that's why the whole happiness coach thing took off, because I realized people didn't have to suffer the way that I was suffering, but there are ways to retrain ourselves to look at our lives in a happier way. And you can do little things each and every day to make it happier and be in a good mood.
So you found the key to happiness, which so many people are searching for, and you wrote a book about it.
I did. My book is called Get in a Good Mood and Stay There, and it's about sort of the trial and error that I went through, trying all these things to see what worked and what really didn't. And I mean, it's different for everybody, but how do you know if you don't try? Happiness is a journey about learning about yourself, and all learning means that you're going to make mistakes along the way. So you have to be kind with yourself and patient and realize that it's an ongoing process, and you're never going to get to the end. That's the great part, is you're always learning about being happy.
Well, I love it. I look forward to reading the book. You could order her book. It's called Get in a Good Mood and Stay There by going to the link we're going to have here on your screen. We will also post this segment at KMOV.com/greatday following the show. Thank you so much for being here today. Now, go back to your daughter, celebrate Christmas, and we'll get some books sold here because I want to read
love
this.
it.
Happy holidays.
So simple and so powerful. Danny, thank you very much. Great tips. We appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.